G'day ladies and gentlemen, it's Babet here from Babet Brothers Real Estate. Just a quick little video in regards to how a real estate agent on the weekend, just this weekend past, cost their seller, basically their vendor, around 50 grand. 50 grand was lost this weekend. Let me tell you how. So essentially about a year ago, so May last year, I made a video entitled, should you take your property to auction? Yes or no? What is an auction, etc. Now that video is linked down below if you're watching this on Facebook, or up above if you're watching this on YouTube. So essentially, what is an auction and when is it a good time to have an auction? Well, an auction is a fixed date sale. So it's a sale that happens on a certain day at a certain time. How that works is, I'm sure you've seen it on TV, you know what it is. People will show up and they'll bid on a property on that date at that time, and the highest bid will win the property. At the end of an auction, this is what happens. The successful bidder has to give a deposit right there on that day. Now that deposit is usually 5% or 10% generally. They then have 30, 60 or 90 days to pay the balance of that property. So in 30, 60 or 90 days, you're paying whether you can afford it or not, whether you get your finance or not, you're paying. If you don't pay, goodbye deposit. And there are a whole bunch of other penalties as well. So in a first home buy area, it's a very, very bad idea, generally anyway, to have an auction. Why do I say that? Because in first home buy areas, generally all the properties are very, very similar. There isn't much difference. They're all 3 or 4 bedroom homes, 2 bathroom, 1 bathroom, double lock-up garage, whatever. So all the properties, they're similar, right? So there's nothing usually extremely unique about the majority of properties in a first home buy area to generate the interest required at an auction. In a first home buy area as well, most of the people who come to purchase properties, they're first home buyers. First home buyers don't have a whole bunch of money. What I mean by that is when you purchase at an auction, you have to have your finance rock solid or the money ready to go somehow. So if you show up to an auction, like I said before, you bid, you can't pay, goodbye deposit. First home buyers are unlikely to do this because they need a finance condition. A finance condition means, yes, I'm going to buy your house. Here's your 10% deposit. Now give me 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get my finance organized, to go to the big 4 banks or a mortgage broker or whoever to organize the finance. If the finance doesn't get approved, then what happens? I'm going to back out of the contract, give me back my 10% deposit. Thank you so much. Sorry to waste your time. Goodbye. That's what a first home buy area generally is. Now, when you have an auction in these first home buy areas, you put a lot of first home buyers off because they don't have the, 500,000 or 600,000 ready to go just sitting there. They need the finance condition. So I went to this auction on the weekend. In this area where this auction was held in Melbourne, properties generally sell for around $450,000. This property in question sold for only $400,000. Now, this is a very, very low price simply because there wasn't the competition at the auction to drive the price up. I sold a property literally across the road the next day, today, for $445,000. So I sold my property for a much higher price, literally across the road, and the property was in worse condition than the one that went up for auction, and I got more for it. That just goes to show that an inexperienced agent or an agent who's simply not prepared to go through a private sale process, because it does take longer, can cost you money. So be very, very careful when you select your agent. Make sure to ask a lot of questions. And if you're in a first home buyer area, generally I would counsel you to avoid taking your property to auction. Now, every circumstance is different. Your circumstance might be different to what I've just described, but I'm just talking on the average here. So on the weekend, I saw somebody lose 50 grand. Don't let that somebody be you. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.